begun. The way you move, it does something to me. And when we touch, it shoots right through me.
Hi there. Welcome to another round of eclipse season. I am Clarissa Dolphin, and I'm super excited to break down what could take place for us collectively as a society, as well as personally, individually, for all 12 zodiac signs. Again, always consider booking a personal reading because your chart is unique to you only in the whole entire universe. You have your own signature resonance, and although this collective forecasting helps, I think, for our personal and individual lives, your astrology reading is always more specific to you and always more on point for the dealings in your own life and existence. As a side note, there are a million things going on astrologically every day, every moment, all the time. For this channel, I'll be focusing more on the luminary-based astrological events such as eclipses, as well as outer planet events and things with a longer arc. If you would like more daily downloads and breakdowns, consider my oracular poetry calendar, Ephemeral Astrology, which addresses hundreds of celestial events throughout the year. So with eclipses, they last about 6 months, and there is an 18 to 24 month arc depending on the zodiac sign ingresses of the lunar nodes. This particular window of time lasts from 17th of February 2026 and goes to August 12th, 2026. So again, that's 6 month time window. Why are eclipses important? Because each eclipse is 300% the resonance of a normal new and full moon. And beyond that, each eclipse is comprised of a 9-planet resonance. And that is so significant in astrology for multiple reasons, including just simply strength. In astrology, we use 10 planets. And to have one astronomical / astrological event contain a 9-planet force, that shows you the strength right there. And I've come across siderealists, because I don't think they're really sidereal astrologers either. I respect whatever charting system you want to use. What I think pop astrology does a disservice to in terms of the reality of astrological analysis and erecting charts is that most astrological analysis, or at least the most popular astrological analysis, is not based on constellations. It's based on the sun and also planets as the major interpretive celestial objects. Obviously, you can throw in centaurs and meteorites and constellations into your analysis and other points in the sky or celestial objects, and I totally respect that. And the main crux of an astrology chart, particularly in the Western tradition, we totally need to upgrade our languaging around this. I would say the Middle Eastern Babylonian tradition that we call Western now. It is based on the arc of the sun and how planets impact potentially the earth and all beings on it. So that said, hello, I'm a nerd. If you want more specific information about eclipses, how to live with them, what they are, tips on survival of eclipses, please visit my website, ClarissaDolphinExplainsItAll.com, and find my blog post, The Wild Power of Eclipses, How to Survive and Thrive. things to note just really quickly about eclipses is it's a luminary based thing. It's luminaries and Earth, so that's going to be sun, moon, and the Earth. And all of these factors, these planets, have everything to do with corporeal reality, our physical bodies and physical existence. It's not just consciousness or our souls. It is what happens in our everyday life and what our body is exposed to and what our bodies are doing. I think that's really important because when we're talking about an evolutionary astrology perspective of the lunar nodes, which is past life, current life, and evolution, that type of evolution takes place in everyday life, like banal life, what you're doing every day. It's not like something to get to 79,000 or 79 or 60 years after you're born. It's something that we're chipping away at every day. I have done extensive research on the lunar nodes, what they mean in zodiac signs, as well as in harmonics, and how to utilize them. All due respect, I don't care what branch of astrology you practice. There's so many, and they all have their purpose, and they're all interesting, and full respect. And my approach to the lunar nodes are not evolutionary astrology, which is destiny and fate, and what life, past lives, what you're coming from. It's very much, I don't know, Clarissa perspective, rooted in research. And basically, lunar north node is your unstoppable will. Lunar south node is people and social. And so, to be even more clear, the sun is like your actual physical body and your presence and being, what you exude naturally and what you do every day. The moon is very social. The moon and the sun are interchangeable in many ways, but the moon has more of like a social factor. And then the lunar nodes are unstoppable forces where there's literally no impediment to creation and or the people that you pull into your life or beings that are pulled into your life. Unlike every other planetary thing or planet, excuse me, the lunar nodes you can't stop the direction of its manifestation, which I think speaks a lot to destiny, where it's like this kind of unstoppable where you're supposed to be and go. So I can see why the lunar nodes create conversations around destiny, because it's a reality that has no impediment to existing. I like to think of the lunar nodes as lasers and just chiseling in a reality that we live in without fail, because eclipses are 300% the effect of a normal new and full moon. It impacts the body, and they impact the body for all those other corporeal reasons we were just discussing with the sun, moon, and lunar nodes. And without fail, I'm always sick during an eclipse season, and I'm suffering from insomnia at minimum, in addition to all these like extreme ups and downs, physically, emotionally, psychologically. But yeah, like my body's like cracked out. It's like eclipse crack. I feel like the power of these celestial events, that this is why every generation of every human culture has been obsessed with eclipses for thousands of years, because they're so prominent, they're so strong, and they really do, boom, create a new reality every 6 months. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about some potential collective stuff that could go down before we do your individual zodiac sign reading. If you see me looking down and my eyes going all different directions, it's because I'm actually analyzing the astrology from my computer, which is right here. Okay, let's start with the solar eclipse that takes place on February 17th and the potential implications for society. So most of the planets that we are witnessing are stacked above the horizon in the 11th and 12th house. 11th house is an amoeba. It is the force of connectivity in our society, but more like webs and networks and the different group orientations, the leaders of the group, the people who serve, the people who are the fundamental founders of the group, and everybody's specific role and function. And then we've got 12th house issues, which 12th house on a very boring, and it's not boring, but on a very basic, mundane level is institutionalization. So where people are housed in prisons, hospitals, churches, schools, ideally for their betterment, because they can't take care of themselves or they need to be housed in a specific place in order to find care. On another level, the 12th house are the forces that we're all ordained to live by. For example, gravity is 12th house. For example, the universe and solar system is 12th house. Like, unfortunately, in my physical body, I can astral travel 247 and do shamanic journeys, but I can't just fly into space. So there are all these kind of rules that impact us literally, tangibly, where people try to lock you up in fucking jail or whatever. And more physics and more just higher forces that orchestrate our reality that we must live by, that we do live by. Another thing about the 12th house is 12th house is definitely criminality in collective mundane astrology, but it can also be a helping hand, a hidden helping hand from these forces that we were just discussing that are higher than human consciousness, and so on and so on. So one thing that just grabs my eye, I think that obviously things like the Epstein file, so gross, so depraved. And that just like continues unraveling. And I think that, Pluto in Aquarius is definitely going down in an eventual uprising against systems and leadership that do not represent the people and do not serve the people. It only serves an elite class type of thing. So that's happening all over the world. I know that where I'm based in America, the USA is a total shit show and it's terrifying, but there are other countries, and but the whole world, obviously, like, we're all in a Pluto and Aquarius, and this globalized network of elites is eventually going to fall down, right? Like, it's eventually, and we're just in the early stages. This is taking place, and then all the way through the 2040s, when Pluto ingresses into Pisces. Let's look at the harmonics on this and what this could be alluding to. Actually, before that, I think there's going to be some kind of health crisis. I don't know if it's on the level of COVID. I don't really think it's necessarily on the level of COVID, but I do think that health crises in related to potentially to fashion, to like fast fashion, all the plastic particulates that are taking out millennials so early, with various autoimmune and cancers and stuff like that. Like, I think that is going to come into play. Institutionalization and what goes on behind closed doors that continues to kind of unravel Epstein files, I think, is like the top of, or one of the main things that we talk about a lot. But there's kind of more unraveling to take place. I think a financial system unraveling is likely to occur with this as well. Let's look at the harmonics of this first February 17th eclipse. So with this eclipse, we've got a 17th harmonic, 28, 19. 17 and 19 are like sister prime harmonics. 17th harmonic is empathy and the nature of empathicness as the empath. And it speaks to counseling, therapy, the nature of an empath, like having and experiencing somebody else's reality in your own body, as if emotions are completely interchangeable between beings. And 19th harmonic is totally not that. Like, it is very much organizing and orchestrating and managing things. And so I think that despite everything that's going on in the United States, for example, and I hate to be solipsistic or narrow, obviously there's a wider world that you live in, that we all live in. I do see organized chaos. I do see things getting managed and handled to a high degree of excellence, lots of legal stuff and governmental shifts. Demands, for example, the climate crisis just keeps coming up, and there are demands to address it. No fast fashion, clean up the rivers and lakes, clean up, take all the plastic bottles, pay for it. And so that kind of continues to be legislated in different countries around the world. And I mean, this is such a like geopolitical thing because of the 29th harmonic here, which is very diplomatic. So diplomats and all that kind of stuff is diplomats and criminality, and having just generally more compassion on a whole, and just wanting to heal shit is definitely a collective experience. Why I say that is because we have 13 times 9 stuff, and that is dichotomous in that the 13th harmonic is very gangster. It's a singular lifestyle. It doesn't compromise. It doesn't give a shit. It will commit criminality. It doesn't live by other people's rules. And then you have with the 9th harmonic community and healing. And so we have like this polarity and experience where it's like, okay, no, like it's time to get our shit together. And I think we are all feeling that. I think that there's a sense of dejection, particularly with Americans. Like, oh my God, we can't, like, how are we gonna change anything? And that's been kind of existent here for decades. But not to be cheesy as fuck, but for real, 17th harmonic, how do we change anything? Heart first, just feeling it first. Like, damn, this is like this is not sustainable on any level. Obviously, pedophiles are really gross and depraved, high level of depravity, but also just the way that our entire world has collectively been living on oil. We can't live on oil anymore, like, period. And so there's kind of the impact of all of the neglect and abuse that we have institutionally. It comes to fore more in this eclipse cycle and moves hearts, which in turn drives legislation for change in a new system, organization. Like, this is cool because this is like actually the building of new systems. It's the Aquarius eclipse, even though the lunar nodes are still in Pisces Virgo at the time of this eclipse. we're starting to really tap into that collective Aquarian energy where we change the network and social fabric of society in all ways. It's good, complete transformation. And we finally have access to that. Let's look at the March 3rd eclipse. And this is more of a natural 12th house eclipse, less emphasis in the 11th house. And it's a 12-6, fourth house emphasis, a little bit of first house, a little bit of second house with Uranus there. Basically, death comes to mind: death, agriculture, medical, hospital systems, prison systems, social systems of all schools, and the military is also really strong here because of the sixth house situation. Military, health industries. And health is going to be a thing because of Saturn Neptune too. Saturn Neptune does trigger health issues a lot. It's illnesses, various type of illnesses that force you to be still or whatnot. But so there's that part about this, but at the time of the eclipse, we've also got the moon and the lunar south node in Virgo in the sixth house, triggering this 12th to sixth house axis. And it's also combined with Jupiter in the natural fourth house. And fourth house is going to be death, property, land, family, legacy. And obviously everybody died. Like, we all die. Death is a reality in life. But I just think the striking part of having social institutions being engineered for death and the continuing unfolding and impact of that, and particularly how it affects what we produce and grow in, like, food. You know, like, if we pollute every waterway, how are we going to grow food and stuff like that? And let's talk about more about this too, because at the lunar eclipse on March 3rd, it's a high 47th harmonic. 47th harmonic is transmitting and unearthing secrets, deeply held, profound secrets that typically only come out in a confessional setting. Literal Catholic confessional, but only your therapist knows, or literally one person in the whole ass world knows. Like, it's very investigative. It gets down to the root that very few, if anybody, sees, and it unearths it. 47th harmonic is also very poetic. One thing that I like about this year for society is how creative and sensitive the collective is becoming, even with cell phones and brain rot scroll and all that kind of stuff. That whole, like, heart opening thing, there is more of an emotional sensibility, I think, that drives social reality and social changes than has been existent before 2026, where it's just kind of like, oh, do your thing. It was like more compartmentalization. What is coming up, the secrets that are dredged up, generates a desire to reform society in a way that quenches heart thirsts. But, like, seriously, what you want to see, how you want things organized, collective you, versus being organized for death. And again, not to fear death, we're all gonna die. It's just that the 12th and the 6th house systems, military, soldiers, police force, institutions, they really do augment the lives of few at the expense of death for many. Okay, this is kind of boring. I see this as very legislative, like very government changes, both eclipses, because of the 7th harmonic dominance and the 19th harmonic dominance. It's like how things are managed, who's doing what, the leadership dynamic, all that kind of stuff. Now let's get into how these eclipses can impact individual zodiac signs. Let's start with you, Aries. Aries, you're going to have Saturn Neptune in your first house pretty much forever, several years. And at the time of the solar eclipse in this 6-month cycle between now and August, you already have Saturn Neptune there. And Saturn Neptune is more conscious of what you ultimately do with your life and time and activities. It is parsing through that which is the most important for you to do long term. So you're going to be thinking kind of more long term as we enter this eclipse cycle. And you're also going to be thinking about social stuff and social activities. I think that you're busy. I think that you have a lot of activities, people to see, places to go. And I think that you're also thinking about what you want your social life to be like, how you want to engage new ideals and new projects. What do you want to commit to? With whom do you want to commit to? On what kind of dream life? Let's do some harmonic analysis on this. Look at some midpoints, see what Mars is doing for you. So Mars, Venus, Pluto, lots of Mars, Pluto. Mars, Pluto is really hard work and potentially exhausting projects. Can't see, there's a lot of Mars here, but there's only 4 things with Mars that is under a degree orb, which is really strong. So let's focus on those. So you've got Sun, Moon, both are conjunct the midpoints of Venus, Mars, and Mars lunar north node. So you're motivated with this eclipse. You're motivated, you're ready to go. And also facing bureaucratic impediments and bureaucratic bullshit where, for whatever reason, law, company infrastructure, the separation of nations, different, just like stuff that you can't evade, paperwork, taxes, whatever, like some kind of bureaucratic bulwark is in the way. And so Aries is really being tested this year in slow and steady focus. And that's not necessarily what this energy wants to do. Like Mars lunar north node is really, really fast and dynamic. Sun, Moon, Mars lunar north node is all the way in it. Fast. And so with the 12th house, though, you're gonna need to do pacing and just consider what's the most important thing long term. I think that you're also navigating what's important for you romantically, what you want in your love and romantic life. That could be a little more challenging to manifest and realize as well with that Venus Mars stuff. And also potentially who and what is in your space. Like, are you creating something substantial together, something that you want to look at every day? I'm not just talking about beauty. I'm talking about if you have too much shit in your space, it's just not like there's so many different orientations that you've got going on thanks to this eclipse. Let's look at the harmonic aspect grid and see if there's some more stuff coming up for you. Mars, Pluto in the 23rd harmonic. It's just totally inundated with work and like 247, some type of project that takes most of your energy and needing to just show up and do it. Which, I mean, you're good for it, but I think like that could also partly be contributing to the delay with these kind of personal life, love life, social life, friendship kind of shifting things. Although there's like a high demand for your time and you may be, doing all this social stuff, you're also pressed for deadlines and you have to do all of these hard work type of things. And so you can't put as much energy as you may like to into matters of the heart and whatever. So, okay, that's fine. You might as well just take your time. Let's look at the lunar eclipse March 3rd and see what's going on for you. So, you got a 12th house lunar eclipse. Mars is now in Pisces, your natural 12th house. And I think your health is going to come up as an issue for you. Your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health. I think this is a deeper eclipse for you to understand some big patterns around all of these health issues that we just discussed, but also where you may not be taking accountability or keep getting a get out of jail free card for your own behavior. And no judgment, like none of us are perfect. That's just not what life is about. 0% perfection. But like people talk about Chiron, like the wounded healer, and when I hear that, it just feels really sappy to me. Like wounded healer, like Chiron, according to my research, has way more of a sharp, badass flair. It's more kind of rogue. It's more renegade. It cannot die. Like it's like the 9 lives thing with cats. It's extremely charming. It gets away with all kinds of shit. Sometimes really mean behavior or bad behavior, then it'll get away with it. And so I feel like issues regarding addictions come up where you could be socially evading something, or I've been like this in relationships. I've treated men or women or everybody else like this. For whatever reason, this is like my patterning. That's the type of stuff that comes up for you and that you're really sitting with and wrestling with. I think money might be good, but it's like more your love, your heart, love affairs. Really wanting to work through all this bullshit or all this like deep layers, maybe not be bullshit. It might just be like manure, like layers of profundity around what and how you want to create your ideal life and social networks and what you want to see in the world. This is not an unearthing process. This series of eclipses is not, again, I think you're going to be busy with work and I think you could potentially make good money and things like that, but I do see you being like so caught up in the affairs of the heart and in these kind of like deeper, poignant, emotionally stimulating things, emotional things that have you like questioning like what the fuck is going on here and needing to take care of yourself, right? Because it's triggering a 6 and 12 house natural house for you, and that's like care and health and what is truly healthy and not. Let's look at the harmonic aspect grid and see what's going on for this eclipse as well for you. I think you're going to find solutions, but this is just a slow build situation, slow solutions, and doing the nitty gritty and what you need to do in order to eventually meet the mark and eventually do it. I mean, there's a sensation of frustration for me when I'm looking at this. It's like, I'm not Aries, but I'm very Mars person. Mars doesn't like doing it. Mars wants what it wants when it wants it in a lot of ways. Like, take action now, let's see an instant result. And that's not what you're called to with this eclipse cycle. It's the longer arc of life. It's all the little things that you need to do to realize a goal like 10, 20 years from now or however long from now. Wishing you a wonderful eclipse season, Aries. Taurus, this eclipse cycle has a lot to do with your career, professional standing, what you do in the public, leadership, who you engage with in the public, authority, legal results. If you are involved in some type of legal case, this is when you might likely get an answer or some kind of significant advance around this. And also social relationships, fun, romance, friendships, the groups that you're involved in, and what you do for pleasure and fun are all super, super important shifts and points of focus for this eclipse cycle. If we look at the midpoints for these eclipses, let's look what Venus is doing. We've got a Venus-Mars situation with the luminaries in your 10th and 11th house. And let's see what else Venus might be doing that's relevant and strong. There's a lot of midpoints for Venus. In 1 degree and above placement. So it's not necessarily as strong, but it's more kind of in your direct, immediate, external space, external world, and whatnot, like an arm's length type of thing. But what these midpoints signify is speaking and the necessity of talking and all these different conversations, intimate, not so intimate, public speaking and blah blah blah, down to speaking to somebody's last words at their deathbed. I mean, I feel like that's extreme. This is not deathbed energy of this eclipse cycle for you. I don't see deathbed energy, but I do see intimate energy, like talking to your love, your partner, or your siblings about some serious ish. I think that you are in this moment of finding this fine balance and trying to determine what is healthy and regulatory for yourself and your associates. And you need to talk it out, because that's the only way that we're going to create these new rules and that we're going to create terms that work for all parties. I think that you're feeling really inspired, which is really cool. I think that even though there are some pressing work stuff, this is more, I think it's less about projects and more about like visibility and who you're rubbing shoulders with and how people see you. That is a big dynamic in this eclipse cycle. I would like to see where Venus shows up for you in this first eclipse. We have a 17th harmonic Venus Jupiter that's strong for you. And then Venus lunar north node in the first harmonic. And so I think you're just figuring things out regarding love, romance, what you're attracted to, whom you're attracted to, and literally what the activities that you're attracted to, what you want to beget in the world, whether it's a literal child or different, becoming part of a tennis association or opening a toy store or whatever. Like there's just like this moment of affinity that you're being drawn into and led by in the first eclipse. Let's look at the second one. And all of these things are relevant for the next 6 months. Like both eclipses are impacting you at the same time. The second eclipse, I think, is pretty much the same stuff. Dialogue and investigations are super huge. I feel like if you've been trying to hide something from somebody, it comes up, or vice versa. So a lot of this is investigatory, and I think that you are having a spiritual experience right now, whether that's through ceremony or some type of church situation or some type of ritual that you perform. I think you're being called to a spiritual path and to investigating your soul's work and getting to the bottom line around that. I think that there is so much more for you to do here, and or just checking in on how your life experience is aligned with your spiritual experience. Are you in fact doing what you are here to do? Are you in fact living your purpose? And I think that you're going to have dreams come up that are prophetic and that are deep for you, literal dreams and shamanic dream work type ish. And in moments of divine genius or channels and downloads that you're not necessarily generating yourself, you're just receiving as a channel, or being gifted a vision or things like that. I think you're also going to be able to find solutions to very basic management problems in life and projects. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're in tech, for example, you're finally in this window of time likely to find several solutions to one bug. Like, you're going to be able to find a way to put all of this differing information into one apparatus that actually functions. Definitely investigations are involved. Definitely there's like a probing going on, but in general orientation that I see here is finding answers to hard questions, investigating answers to hard questions that have a lot of gray area. That's not a simple yes or no question. And I think that emotional exposure and spiritual exposure is going to be a continuing thing, but I feel very grateful that you have people to talk this out with. I think that's a beautiful gift. So if we look at the harmonic aspect grid for this, you've got a strong 14th harmonic situation and 7 and 14th harmonic support a lot of what we just discussed, which is intimacy. So intimacy issues and intimacy things rise to the surface to be addressed with other people, with whomever you're intimate with, whether that's an intimacy with gods and goddesses and source and God, or angels or whomever, and or intimacy with your business partner or your love partner or your family member or friend, whomever. It's just straight up intimacy and an investigation and reorientation around what works, how it works, and whom you're both serving. Like, what is the point? What is the ultimate service of this? Wishing you a beautiful eclipse cycle in this 6-month period, Taurus. Gemini, interestingly enough, your professional life, career, public standing is what's triggered the most by these eclipses. Obviously, the eclipses are in your 9th house and your 10th house in this round. But Mercury is in the 10th house both times at the exact time of the eclipse on February 17th and March 3rd of this year. And so your ruling planet being there, it's really kind of a work-life balance, work-home dynamic theme for actually both of these eclipses. Let's get some more information through the harmonics. I want to see what's going on with the midpoints as well. So you've got Mercury is conjunct the Sun, Neptune midpoint, and the Moon, Neptune midpoint, but at a really high orb. And you've also got the lunar nodes with Sun, Mercury, Moon, Mercury conjunct those midpoints. And that's pretty much it. So let's look at this. Let's try to eyeball this. So we've got Venus, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Moon, Mercury, and then lunar north node, Sun, Mercury. So Venus, Sun and Moon Mercury from your 9th to your 10th house, and then the lunar node. So it's like the same thing. I think like you're really just finding your voice in the public. You're trying to transmit a specific message and you may not know necessarily how. You're attempting to say something. I think that there's so many things like pulling you in multiple directions. I think that you have a dream, but there's so much work to do behind the dream. It's a challenging project because of that Mars Pluto there in your 9th house. It's not necessarily like, I'm a Gemini rising. I'm exhausted. I just want things to just work. You know? And life does work. It's beautiful. But I'm just saying, like, it's like, I don't want to put more work behind things, but you do need to do that. There is that pressure. Like, you don't just come and find your voice. There are marketing materials to be created. There are classes to take to refine your voice. But you've got it, though. At the same time, because the node is so prominent for you with the sun, you do have stuff to say. Your message is heard. Your message and your audience just continues to grow. It gets bigger and bigger. And I think that's another thing that you're dealing with is the weight of expansion of your voice. Like, actually, people are listening to you. Actually, people are hearing your podcast or your newsletter or your presentation at work, actually, or whatever. Like, whatever you're putting out in the world is more proliferated, and there's a burden to that because you can't hide. There's a visibility factor. Let's look at harmonic aspect grid and see what could be going on for you and Mercury here in different harmonics. Mercury Neptune is kind of strong, and then Mercury Jupiter in the 3rd harmonic, which the Mercury Jupiter validates a lot of what I just said, but I think the Mercury Neptune and the Mercury Pluto in the 17th and 26th harmonic is more intimate than what we've been discussing. I think that you're also privy to these intimate truths, which is like a collective theme of this eclipse cycle. But for you, you're also hearing emotional truths that you may or may not want to hear, that may or may not. Ultimately, I think truth is the best possible thing, always. But sometimes truth hurts. Like, damn, like, I wish you didn't tell. I wish I didn't know that, you know. For you, though, I think that the truth makes you closer to whom intercoursing with. Whomever you're dealing with. I think that your heart to hearts, in addition to all this public and professional stuff and like very external world, very like visible, very talking to groups of people, your heart and your more behind closed door spaces is also just expanding and just getting more real. Like, it's just more authentic. I want to look at the 13th harmonic here for you and see what. So you've got a yod with Saturn and lunar north node. So I think you're going to be thinking about your lifestyle a lot and changing your lifestyle. And if you are planning a move, or if you're planning a career shift, or if you're planning something that really does alter your life, going even on a holiday or a worldwide whatever, going to a different country, whatever, I think you're gonna find that, you know, you just have to put more pillars in place before you depart. Of course, right? Like, not everything is overnight in this life. There's just more like little details for you to analyze to adjust to this major new lifestyle shift. But fortunately, you will get the information that you need. And that doesn't always happen in a 6-month time span. Sometimes it takes longer than that. That's cool. All right, same thing, 10th to the 4th house as the main focus. And then we have a 2nd house. So I think this is when your money actually starts to expand as well, and your value and your literal, so if you're employed, your salary has the potential to increase. If you are self-employed, your income increases just somehow. And that whole like intellectual property thing, the value of what you have to say is also augmented by this March 3rd lunar eclipse. And lunar versus solar eclipse, there's an idea that full moons, which would be lunar eclipse, it like closes a cycle or closes a chapter, and the solar eclipse, which is a new moon, opens a chapter. I don't know about all that, and not to be disrespectful to scholars and other astrologers who employ that. To me, and I don't want to be annoying, I just want to be so honest, ending and opening a chapter is like the same thing. And I don't know, I don't know if eclipses, whether it's a lunar or a solar, they're always opening something new. So anyway, not even sure why I brought that up for you, Gemini. I think that perhaps it's because your wealth paradigm shifts tremendously, and this does affect your home and your family life, as well as your professional and career life. I think that you may have a lot more to do with involving your home and or family and relatives. But what I do love about this is you just having resources, you being able to show up and have access to what you need access to, whether that's money or some other kind of resource to stabilize and show up and be of service. Mercury is super active in the second eclipse of the cycle. And again, you've got this Mercury Saturn energy with the lunar north node via midpoint, which is this very, very strong at 1 minute orb. And you've also got Mercury Saturn with Venus. And I think this is more tied to being all over the dotted line and the bottom line, and knowing what you are getting into contractually and otherwise, just really being clear on what you're saying and doing and what you're creating with whomever is involved in what you're doing. You can see that Mercury Venus stuff, it's in the 31st harmonic 55. I think that you're partnering more. There's a lot of collaborations, and you're just getting down to the nitty gritty and the bottom line of whatever these collaborations are. I don't think they're necessarily bad collaborations. I think a lot of these collaborations are amazing. Your social network is growing with these eclipses. All right, here's to getting the word out, Gemini. That's awesome. Your eclipse season looks really blessed, ultimately, in comparison to maybe some of these other signs. So you go, keep expanding, let your reach grow, your reach and influence grow. Hey, Cancer, your eclipse season is really fascinating. I think that there's a lot of depth probing going on, and a main theme for you, Cancer, is culmination and karma. My personal view of karma, what I mean when I say that word, is getting what you put out, like the culmination effect of energetic output. What did you put a lot of work into, or a lot of attention or focus or heart into, or whatever, the past several years? How, and now it's affecting. There are other things going on as well. You're in this growth expansion that requires a culling, that requires going through a lot of stuff, literal or figurative, that has old energy that you can't bring with you into your next phase or cycle of life. And so me as a Cancer, what's really important for me to do is to finally go through my closet and my papers that have accumulated over so much time. And what's fascinating about this is that at this point in the cycle, other eighth house issues I've already dealt with. But these are eighth house issues that are coming up for every Cancer. So let me explain what I mean by that. Now I'm at the paperwork and closet cycle, thank God. But earlier, when I had other aspects to my eighth house, like all we Cancers are experiencing in this eclipse season in 6 months, I had to cut off whole people and communities. And I didn't even realize how toxic it was to be involved with these specific human beings until I lived through it. And so wherever you are in the culmination and transmutation cycle, you might be coming aware of the fact that the network or in specific individuals that you've been involved with for however long are no longer compatible with the person who you are becoming and who you are right now and your trajectory in life. And so this is like a culmination and a culling period for you, Cancer, where it's like everything's rising to the surface. There are realities to witness and face, and you're growing out of stuff. Like you're growing out. I think that this could be a boon, like a blessing. You can just win the lottery, figuratively, metaphorically, whatever. I wish that we could all win the lottery, like literally. But like seriously, like this is where it's like, oh, the things that you've invested in for furtherance of growth and actually reap dividends for good and ill, but there may be parts of your life that still need addressing and that you might just simply want to get rid of or don't have the space or energy for anymore. Publishing, travel, spiritual pursuits, all off the chain for you. And I think that you're more willing than maybe ever or in other times in your past to let all your shit hang out and to be spontaneous, go at the beck and call of the universe to do whatever. I think that you're moving more and you're moving more in different circles and you're just not ashamed to let your ish hang all the way out and to be exposed and exposure. Your levels of intimacy and your ability to be intimate, even with strangers and whatever, and just to have your like heart on your sleeve is really inspiring. I love it. Like, I love this authenticity in expression for you. You've also got a moon conjunct Venus Mars midpoint and a moon conjunct Mars lunar north node midpoint. So that's going to be your 8th and 9th house. I think you might have some long distance love situation thing going on, thinking about the spiritual impact of love, what you need to do and or process to get rid of stuff to create space for love. I think that you're making something important from your heart, whether you're writing a book or a screenplay or a movie, or it's some kind of like intellectual property or creation that comes straight in terms of harmonic stuff. If we're looking at the harmonics aspect grid, you've got a semi-strong moon Mercury in the 20th harmonic and then a moon Jupiter in the 21st harmonic. And so both of those in different ways is one way. Okay, let's talk about the 20th harmonic moon Mercury. That's more just like psychological experimentation in terms of how you perceive things and the way that your mind runs. Like the very fundamental way that your mind runs. I think you're in a very creative era. You're in a very don't tie me down, don't hold me down era. You are experimental, you're trying new things, you're out doing new stuff, and your mental is transforming on the go as you're in the, your psyche is just shifted, has shifted and is shifting so much continually. You've also got Moon, Jupiter in your 21st harmonic, which is has a lot to do with who you network with, like your social contacts, your intimate social contacts, the people that you let into your world. And so I think that there is some kind of organized chaos around that, because 21st harmonic is kind of organized chaos. It's like something, it's like paint by numbers within a specific structure. Literally, like I've had people over and over again with 21st harmonic like painting their walls. Like you have to paint within the walls. So I feel like social life is kind of weird. I feel that even though you're out and you're meeting all these new people, I don't know if everybody that you connect with fits into your life automatically. I think that there's still kind of like, okay, well, where does this go? Like, where does our union go? Where does our relationship go? Like, you're just figuring it out. It's like, this is the first time that you've experienced all of this. You're just like testing right now. If we go to the March 3rd eclipse, Cancer, it's really your 3rd and 9th house. So travel is going to be on your mind, technology, marketing, spiritual pursuits, visas, higher education. Should you be looking for certification and or certifying yourself, certifying others, I mean, as a professional. But you're going to be traveling a lot. I think that this epoch is definitely one of travel. You might get a new car or you might repair your car, but you're moving around a lot. And I think, again, this is just such a social period for you. It's just so dynamic. And I don't know if you've been socializing at this level. I don't want to like dismiss your past and things like that, but this is just like a high level of out. You know, as a Cancer, I love staying inside in my comfy, warm, beautiful home. But for you, like, this is a huge outward social manifestation of your dreams, of your business, of your visions, of the person that you actually want to be. In that, like, even though I love staying in my house, I also want to be there for my people, and I also love meeting people. And I want to go to more parties and go have more social experiences. You're going to be able to do that. That's like really an arc of this eclipse cycle. Moon, Venus, Mars. That's another. Moon, Venus, Mars is like a theme for you for both eclipses, which is really fascinating to me. And that's going to be from the same house, is the 3rd to the 9th house. So I think that you're going to have like some really dynamic romantic communication. And I think that if you are a creative of any kind, you're creating some really baller projects that have the ability to reach a lot of people through marketing campaigns. You might be writing a book or a screenplay or writing something significant or creating an art installation piece or some kind of couture piece if you're in fashion or whatever, but you're like creating something substantial. This is a substantive addition to your portfolio, your catalog, your repertoire. And I think you're going to be competitive and, again, experimental and creative. And I'm happy for you around this, Cancer, because you're not tied down in a way that you may have experienced in the past, where I feel like this is the most free that you felt in a long time to be experimental and to do all this random new stuff and to tap into your creative genius and to meet all of these interesting people. And even though they may not incorporate into your life necessarily super easily and fast or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're still interesting as hell and inspiring as hell. And your freedom is the most important experience, or one of the most important experiences of this cycle. You just feel so damn free. And free as a bird. And I applaud that for you. Enjoy your eclipse season, Cancer. Go be free. Hi there, Leo. Your eclipses, I think, are triggering your relationship to yourself and others, particularly other people. And I think you're just showing up like as a whole different character, like a whole new you, a whole new character. And this is affecting what you want and are seeking and are experiencing in interpersonal relationships, particularly the most important ones. I think that there could be a few shifts in your career and or your job and the way that you work that could be erratic and spontaneous and surprising at first, but something that you adjust to fairly quickly. I think that you're just glowing more and ready to just come out and be dynamic in your fullest, most powerful self, and also ready to take on new responsibilities and serious responsibilities. Money continues to be a thing for you, and earned income and retirement money and debt and all that kind of stuff is another issue that is something that you're working through, working on. Some of this like could be money coming your way, some of it is coming out. Drains are a thing. Drains and what feeds you, like just that polarity of like, oh, this is innervating versus exhausting, this is bleeding me out, this is actually providing some type of nourishment, like what to choose. That's kind of like a continued inquiry. You don't really have that much strong stuff going on in the harmonic aspect grid. Let's move on to the March 3rd eclipse and see what that could imply for you. That money stuff is here with this eclipse again. And so the money, the debt, the time, the energy spent coming in and out, that whole ratio is something that you continue to ponder. I think that you are going to be faced with decisions around what to save and what to part with. And I think that you're also probably, this eclipse is just more tired, like more needing to tap into rest, of course, but I think also like a higher purpose and higher consciousness and what you're going to do next with your life and who really has your back. I think spiritually and also just in your main everyday life, who is actually contributing to your ultimate welfare and flourishing versus what and whom detracts from that. Let's look at the sun here. So we've got Sun, Venus, Mars, and are there other strong sun things? Sun, Venus, Mercury is strong, but that's really it. Sun, Venus, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury. I think that you're going to be more called to spiritual traditions, and spirituality is really important for you to do spiritual ritual performing. I feel like you're getting a lot of gunk out in this eclipse period. I feel like you're getting a lot of whatever kind of gunk. There's so many kinds that we accumulate as humans. But I think also interpersonal relationship gunk is a huge gunk removal moment in this eclipse cycle for you. Put your money where your mouth is. not even just money, like just all energy. Put your money where your mouth is. Healing is super important, and being inspired by something greater than yourself, ourself, us, some higher purpose. Have a beautiful eclipse season, Leo. Virgo, I think that you are coming to terms with a lot of the contracts and agreements that you have been involved with, and also the social dynamics that you've involved yourself with, for good and ill. I mean, some Virgos are really thriving in your new associations. Some Virgos have had a lot of social fluctuations in the past few years, and so you're settling in to your new crew. Like, that's like you're getting to know each other, you're broadening each other's horizons. And also, I think that you're just like knee deep in what you promised to deliver and vice versa. But definitely the people in your life and what you guys owe each other is on your mind, and it's like a huge theme in this eclipse cycle for you. Health is also a huge theme. Take care of yourself, take care of your animals. If you have animals, of course, I know you all already do, but I think that your animal life and your health life might just be busier than usual because of the eclipse pile up in your natural 6th house. So this would be a great 6-month window to get all of your medical checkups done for yourself and potentially your animals, if that is a thing for you, if you have animals. And I think this is also a good time to seek and give help if you need it or what have you. You will find it really quickly. Don't like suffer alone at all, please. Not that you would, but it's important to get a helping hand involved if that's something that's necessary for you at this time. Most of the midpoints in this cycle are above a degree, which means they're still readable, but they're not as strong as being below a degree. And above a degree, midpoints is more kind of like in your external environment. It's one thing. It's not profuse in all these different elements and areas of life at once. You've got Mercury, Neptune with the luminaries and the lunar node, and with Venus as well. So Neptune, lunar node, Venus, Mercury, Neptune, Sun. I think that you're investigating a lot of things. There's a need to get to the bottom of something. Like whether they're health issues and you need several different panels of testing, whether it's your finances and just like the way that your business is structured, or the way that, your life and your routine is structured. There's more information coming to light around all of these existing issues. But I think that you're also just having epiphanies around your relationships, your life, putting money here and there, how you've been living, like all these different like things, very banal, very basic, very your everyday routine, versus like super deep prognostication and dreams and visions. There's like a lot of information to sort through in this eclipse cycle for you. A lot of it is very dreamy. It's coming from some kind of divine source, which is fascinating and always beautiful. Let's look at the harmonic aspect grid and see what Mercury is doing in harmonics. So Mercury, Saturn again, really strong in your 26th harmonic, and that's a shared lifestyle with others, a sense of uniqueness and specialness with others. So I think you're figuring out lifestyles. I think you're figuring out how to be cohesive with the partnerships that you have developed and how it impacts your mutual lives and goals is just kind of like adjusting. There's an adjustment period here and an intimate reckoning or a reckoning of very pertinent details. This is cool though, because I think you're going to get a lot of clarity around where all of these things are going, what the expectations are, what, with all of these contracts and agreements, there is a sense of, there's a medley, there's an inspirational aspect, there's a research aspect and finding the exact details and the tedium around how to organize things. And also there's a very, very candid aspect where there's nothing but honesty around this mutual process. Let's look at the March 3rd eclipse for you. And this is the last eclipse in your sign, really. And again, that relationship issue thing is definitely a huge theme again. Relationships, 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 Virgo. Like, this is, you are not an island. We already know that. But this is maybe one of the most social periods for you that I've seen in a minute. Your relationships just continue to shift, and your duties in that relationship, whatever you guys have mutually agreed to, continue to shift and go into new territory where you're all learning what the implications of this is for you as an individual, but also in your relationships. Like, it's so much adjustment and clarification around roles and community issues and who, you guys are meant to support or see, who you are support, all that stuff. Let's look at the midpoints. I want to see. Okay, so you've got a Venus conjunct Mercury, Saturn midpoint 3-minute orb, Venus conjunct Mercury, Neptune midpoint. So we have an 8th house situation with the 7th house. And so I think that I would just suggest giving space to some of this. Some decisions we have to make immediately or really, really soon. We don't really have time to do that or to like wait. You do have time though. I think with some of these like more critical decisions like marriage, creating a business with somebody as a partner, I think that you should give yourself the maximal amount of time. I would even look at this like I wouldn't even sign on the dotted line until the end of this eclipse cycle and the beginning of the next one in August if you have the chance. But I think that in relationships, however, whatever pace that they're developing at, slow is good for you right now. Like, so a slow pace is freaking fantastic. Developmental pace for you. Like, you don't need to rush into these agreements. I think you might be better off not, because you have so many agreements and relationships. Obviously, you're going to be doing stuff with a lot of different people, but at the same time, it's like if you get into something serious, really, really evaluate if it's right for you. If this union is right for you, and that's just, it's totally fine to take your time, Virgo. I think money is an issue. I think you might be spending more than receiving, which is never necessarily fun. I think on another level too, Virgo, I think that if we're talking about things like clients or new colleagues that you're working with, or even your most intimate personal relationships from friends to lovers. I think that you've just never had this conversation before, or you've never talked to these specific kind of people and or had this subject matter to convey and to interlocute with. Like you just haven't talked about this before or like this before. This is like a brand new subject and or way of communicating, and you are navigating how and what to communicate, and that's just the very nature of what's happening right now. Let's look at the harmonic aspect grid and see if there's other stuff that Mercury is doing that could be impacting you. So 16th harmonic, just a lot of activity and a lot of random spontaneity, lots of movement. So if you've been feeling stagnant at all, this eclipse epoch is not a stagnant epoch for you. I think, for other signs like Leo, there's kind of more rumination and reflection. You've got a little bit of that. Like, again, the divination advises that, you take your time with certain agreements and relationships, situationships where necessary. But stuff is just moving. Mercury, there's a lot of insights. There's rapid information to act on and a lot of clarity and just moving pieces. Amid this mystery, the Mercury Saturn in the 31st harmonic, it's like there's so much information. I think that's the thing. There's just so much information to process. No easy answer. A formula that you create as you go, but also just a lot of excitement. All this stuff is exciting. The people that you're communing with have something to offer. You're learning so much. And so I would look at this as like a learning phase versus a cementing phase. I mean, obviously, you're probably going to sign some agreements like in this 6-month eclipse phase. But I think ultimately, if you can draw it out and just look at it as a learning and inspiring experience versus wanting to get something just so solid and cemented, and that is just more of where this energy is flowing the best. The mystery and the randomness and profuseness of the information, I think, is the ultimate benefit versus solidifying something. It's like in the experience, Virgo. So enjoy yourself. Have a beautiful eclipse cycle. Libra, your health and wellness, as well as your routine, your dogs, or any other animal or plant life that you take care of. Your psychological wellness and wholeness is really, really extremely important as a main theme of this eclipse cycle, to get to the bottom line around this wellness and these wellness and routine issues, to get your mind right, whether or not it's already right or whatever. It's still like a good time for psychotherapy and healing remedies of all kinds. And you're also going to be busy with work and career. I think that you're going to be facing boundaries or conversations around how much you can help, how much you are willing to do in these career spaces, and also in personal spaces. Like, are you willing to show up in the same way that you have been? Is it starting to cost too much of your own health and wellness and regulation? Do you have to do, something else or adjust something? Because you're really expanding a lot, and there's like a lot of expanse, and it's kind of like this inquiry into whether you can keep up the pace. And what is keeping up the pace with you? What is working well? What's not? You're faced with having to adjust a lot of this stuff. I think that romance and joy and levity is going to be on your mind, but you have so much to do in your daily working life that is part of what is pushing you to reevaluate what you want to do and whom you want to commune with, and the level of things that you have on your plate on a daily basis. We've got a moon Venus Mars situation, so again, that like love and joy and children and begetting and doing things that you just want to do. I think obviously, because the divination is so strong in this fifth house area of life, it really is important for you to engage in fun activities. I don't care how busy you are. Oh well. Some things can wait. Like you can't work 24/7 every day. If you choose to do that, fine. But according to the astrology, that's not really very beneficial for you to do. It's important for you to have levity, to have hobbies, to have, things that you just enjoy doing for yourself that isn't qualified by some kind of work thing or by, some kind of external commitment. And straight up love is on your life, but also how that fits in. Like a lot of this eclipse epoch is like, how does it fit in? Like, I don't know. And that's what we're figuring out in real time for you, Libra, in this epoch. Let's look at what Venus is doing in the harmonic aspect grid and see if there's something strong going on here. Venus Uranus 32nd harmonic. Wow, that's really cool. That's very sexy. Venus Uranus is sex, music, dance, and energy healing. So as we're looking at potential health, wellness, medical stuff, sound healing is really good for Venus Uranus. So is energy healing like Reiki or anything with frequency very, very curative, but it's also just straight up sexy and getting your freak on. So like sexual romantic matters is just like really invigorating. And something that I think 32nd harmonic is just something that is in action. Like it's just doing. So love that you're getting your freak on, if that's how this is manifesting for you. And I'm also loving that you are healing and you're getting that therapeutic remedies you need. Frequency healing. I forgot the name of what I'm thinking of right now, but it's like this kind of like frequency music that a lot of people use to meditate and whatnot. So anyway, I think you're just going to need more of that and kind of be kind of more involved with that. Let's look at your March 3rd implications and see. And again, it's like a sixth house thing for you still. Like we're still in the sixth house, sixth and 12th house access. So your health is really shifting a lot, and there are things that you need to adjust to. 12th house is like prisons and schools and stuff. It's like where you feel locked down. I think that 12th house energies, in my experience, can, depending on what kind of person, if you're a type A like I am, I think that it could feel really, really oppressive because you don't have, control the way that you do in some other houses in astrology. And you're forced to rest and think and ruminate, and it's like, I don't want to fucking do that. If you're type A, it's like, let's just go out, but for you have the benefit of rest. I would rest as much as possible in this whole time period. Seriously, take less, don't take more. You already have enough on your plate. Do the big things and then rest. That and take care of yourself and be well. That's like the ultimate eclipse everything for you. All the main themes, I think, for you, Libra. Let's look at what Venus is doing. So again, we've got the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars situation all in your sixth house, in that 6th to 12th house axis of health, wellness, rest, getting closer to the gods and God and source, going to sleep. I mean, the 12th house is like very much, I feel like the frustration could just be like, oh my God, feeling locked down, and not able to move as much as maybe you'd like to, more normally, more independently. But at the same time, rest to me, I think, is such high value gift in this human life. Like, it's so, so big, and you got a lot of that. And I'm not mad at that. Like, that is not upsetting in any way, shape, or form. I think you're also just coming into what getting more and more clear on what's really important to you, what your heart needs to exist and thrive in this world. And that's what another thing that rest allows you to do. It allows you to get clear on stuff that is important that you may not have had the time to get clear on because you're so damn busy, right? So romance, rest, wellness, getting clear on your heart space, and also new projects, things that you want to do. If you have kids or your animal or any animals, they're going to be really, really active in this eclipse, 6-month eclipse cycle from February to August, and take up a lot of your time as well. Relationships are super huge for you in general, potentially as a Libra, but I think you're going to come to new commitments in all of your relationships, professional, personal, and I think you might hire new people or be hired for different contracts. But I think that ultimately, like, you are, again, it's just so loud and clear in the divination that you are just having to choose the most important relationships such that you aren't spread thin. And so really evaluating exactly what these do. And some of these, and importance is relevant because you may have been making $5 trillion, like so much money for so many years, and now are feeling not inspired at all, to the point where you can't get out of bed even though you're making the money. And you're going to have to shift something so that you can have any modicum of joie de vivre to show up for this contract. And so you're shifting these things in certain things to make yourself feel alive and well again. There's a regulation around the nitty gritty details of what you're agreeing to in whatever social or professional situation, such that you are revitalized. Like, revitalization is another main thing for you this eclipse cycle. Like, it's really essential for you to be revitalized. And it's kind of a juxtaposition between having the space to ruminate and meditate and perform ceremony and get really clear on your spiritual beliefs, and also to be revitalized, to get that health back, to get that energy that you need to show up on a consistent basis. And you can't do it all. I think that's what you're getting really clear on in this eclipse epoch. Amazing. I think it's amazing. I think there's a lot of creative potential here too. I feel like this is more gestational for you, where you're just starting to create something substantial or newly again. Let's see what Venus is doing. Venus is with a north node in the 21st harmonic. And that's not far off from what we just were talking about in terms of, if you're signing anything on the dotted line for some significant, substantial contract or relationship, it like just has to nourish you on a deep level. That's it. It's really, really, really that simple and that dynamic, which is really cool because you're being met halfway, and you're not over giving yourself. Like, it's mutual, and it's so a lot of fundamental shifts for you in this season. Libra, enjoy. Scorpio, you've got a lot of things on your mind related to home, family, and your fundamental needs and self, where you're living, how you're living, and there's a lot of emphasis on private time in this eclipse cycle, which I relish. I love private time and space. I think you really, really need that though, because you've got Mars, Pluto here, your ruling planets, with the eclipse in your fourth house. And so it's like, if you're the busiest Scorpio in the world, this eclipse cycle is forcing you to spend a lot more time alone and or in home and or with your most intimates and or with yourself. Like, it's a necessity to generate this. And you might like literally have projects at home to do, cleaning your closet, building a shed, doing the gardening, like whatever, and or your family just might need you more. Different relatives, like, oh my god, I can't do this without you. That's like the most dynamic thing so far. Let's look at the midpoints and the harmonics to see what else Mars and Pluto might be doing that could wow. You've also got Saturn conjunct your Uranus Pluto midpoint. So here's Saturn, here's Pluto and Uranus. So it's the 7th house, 6th house, and 4th house thing. And I think this is fascinating because there are all these different outer planets indicating, I feel like you feel something coming on that can significantly alter your family and relationships potentially forever, like a marriage, a divorce, a blah, blah, blah. So something like to that magnitude, an impending death of one of your beloved elderly relatives. There's just like this ongoing death process, which is very Scorpio, that I think can only be addressed through heavy spiritual work, such as shamanic work or plant medicine, or, you know, talking to spirit guides and things like that. I think otherwise it's just going to come out as this kind of foreboding, prescient shift. But for you, like, I would just do so much spiritual work right now. You know, I just do so much, like, go all the way there. Book a medium ship reading, go do ceremony, talk to dead people all day long, you know, and entities and spirits. That's actually one of the most curative things for you to do to help regulate your health. All right, let's look at Pluto and Mars, the luminaries with Venus, Mars. So children, education, as well as pleasurable activities, hobbies, sex, health, and wellness. But just like general joy, I think that you're wanting joy. I think that you're wanting to find joy on more fundamental levels in your everyday home with your people. I think that you are doing that though. I think that the more intimate layers being unveiled is very Scorpio joy. Like, but I think that you're just kind of going to need it more. Like, I think you might need to adjust to your immediate environment. If you need certain statues or images in your environment or stones or whatever that actually match the energy and joy that you're trying to encapsulate and capture and experience in your everyday world. Like, your environment needs to adjust to grant you some joy, and that's just that. So, I mean, not mad at that. Scorpio, you've also got Mars, Saturn, and Mars, Neptune with the lunar north node. So lunar north lunar north node is conjunct Mars, Saturn, and Mars Neptune midpoint. So it's Mars, Saturn, Neptune, lunar north node. And I think, again, this is amazing. This is very actually so specific in that, you know, spiritual ritual is just curative for you and something that you need to do. It's not like an extra, oh my God, I need to meditate. How am I going to get 15 to 30 minutes a day in for meditation? Like, actually, I don't care how. Like, just do it. You know, like, it's the most curative possible thing that you can do. It's just continued ceremony, continued spiritual ritual in any form. Saturn Neptune is typically meditation, but it can be church, it can be altar work, it could be spells, it could be whatever. It's just a ritual. It could be simple as prayer. That is so fundamental. Like all these spiritual undertakings is what it brings the maximum joy, and these tests of faith and this exposure and inundation in faith and higher consciousness and reality. So cool. I mean, I love this for you. You've also got Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, which is that 7-6, and that again, that communion with other entities and beings beyond human beings. Amazing. Like, this is such a spiritually nourishing moment for you, Scorpio. Very, very deep, and I love it. Let's look at the second eclipse on March 3rd and see. Those implications are a little different because now we have a lot of fifth house emphasis with Mars for you. And Mars is kids and education if you are teaching, but it's also joy, sex, friendships, like kind of hobbies and like the things that you do that you like to do, not giving a shit about what anybody else thinks about it. It's just what you enjoy to do. And for you, I think that this is fun. Like, this is, you've got a lot more enjoyment in this epoch. You're gonna have to balance both. So you're gonna have to balance that like deep spiritual work and that solitude and needing that kind of private time to re-up and calibrate in your environment and all that stuff, with straight up fun, straight up opportunities for advanced learning. So some of you could be getting certifications and or trainings and degrees. Some of you could be advancing in your educational career. Some of you guys are doing various experiments with money, and or weird technological experiments or whatever, and they're just like trying to get the word out, and the word will get out. But I think like mostly through networking and word of mouth, not necessarily through like a traditional advertising campaign on the internet or whatever, or a commercial. It's more just about who you're rubbing shoulders with that gets you the most eyes and opportunities. And again, this is just fun. Like, this isn't that I don't I'm trying, like, we all have like professional lives, but I don't really think that's the focus for you. I think like the focus is more just being socially reinvigorated and having a good ass time. It's just like so distinct for you. And so we've got that Mars, Venus, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, Mars, Venus, Pluto, that fourth and fifth house, and Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, from that sixth, seventh. So that's the same themes. Like, it's not changing in terms of that like deep spiritual work and something looming that you just kind of feel like is being addressed by the other right now. Like, something you can feel coming on, not quite there yet, but some kind of significant shift. Let's look at the harmonic aspect grid. I want to see if Pluto or Uranus is doing something interesting for you. We've got Pluto in the 21st harmonic conjunct the North Node. I just feel like you're in a moment where you just want to be the best that you can be. And you really are in an epoch of improvement, self-improvement, and a graduation. Like, you're graduating and excelling in certain areas. Let's look at Mars and see what else is going on here. Mars in the 8th harmonic, Mars, Jupiter, also very solution oriented. So even with any of the stuff that's pressing at home, personally, with your family, fundamentally for you, where you're feeling like, oh my God, I just need a break or whatever, you are also overcoming all the problems. You're also really successful in this epoch. So I think maybe part of that like super fun 5th, 11th house stuff is like enjoy yourself a little bit. Like go fuck off, have a good time for a second. Um, I see that as essential for your being, and just also a straight up opportunity in this 6 month time frame for you, Scorpio. Enjoy. Sagittarius, I think that as we enter this eclipse season for you, you're thinking about a lot of deep stuff and deep relationship issues, what really works, how you really gel, and some things are not answered yet. Like it's in this process of communion and cohesion, and or this extra I was going to say extrification, but I'm not sure that's even a word, but this extraction process. I think you're thinking about your home, your family, your origins, where you want to be, who you want to be. I think that you're thinking about money and where you want to be when and or if you hit retirement age, if you're already there. I think that you're just thinking about your core fundamental relationships and experiences across the board. I don't care what age you are. Like, it's very much like you're starting to see things newly, perhaps related to emotional trauma, but just it doesn't have to be at the level of trauma. These are just like very, very deep, intimate events that have shaped you as a person. These memories, these experiences, these relationships, you're seeing in a different fashion. Like you're seeing the forest for the trees. You're seeing like the larger lesson in it all. And you're wanting to expand on that and do something about it. And I think there could be moments of feeling stuck, honestly, when you're engaging with this depth probing. I'm trying to see what your rule. There's no midpoints with Jupiter that I can see. 0 Jupiter midpoints. So let's look at the harmonic aspect grid and see what Jupiter is doing, if there's anything that stands out for you. So it's a 15th harmonic thing, Jupiter Uranus. I think that no judgment at all. I think that there could be a level of distraction going on where it's like, okay, all this deep shit is coming up. Let me go to the bar. Or something like that, where it's like and I don't know if that's necessarily bad. Like, I feel like Jupiter Uranus is enthusiasm. It's where you go and laugh and enjoy yourself. It's that kind of joyous energy in life. And for you, I think that you still have you've got a lot of access to that, and then the depth probing at the same time. And I feel that the astrology is neutral about that. But I do think that the distraction is there. If you need the distraction, great. If there's too much distraction, like just make sure that you're doing the deep shit, like as well. Like don't totally evade what you are experiencing emotionally in these very primal realms of self. Because I think there's like a leakage that also affects your money, like your bottom line, like not just your own personal value systems, which are the most important. Like money may not be as important as that, honestly. But I think that there's like these drainages and leakages that, don't get plugged with too much distraction. Let's look at some more. I want to see what else Jupiter is doing for you. If there is. So we got Sun Jupiter 21st harmonic. So yeah, it's 7 times 3, 7th harmonic. Get stuff together. It's organized. Sun Jupiter, I think that there's a part of you that is totally reorganizing. Like you're becoming like a more, like this chapter is over here, that there's a room for that in your psyche or whatever being, auric being, yourself. I think that there is just or your literal self. There's just a part of you that's just like, okay, let's just get shit together. That's what this first eclipse is supporting for you, in you, and to have your relationships reflect that too. So like, for example, like if you're partying a lot, maybe hang out with some more nerd friends or whatever who don't party quite as much, and or you're just such a reflection of who you are surrounded by right now. Like that, no judgment on that. It just becomes so much more clear for you in this eclipse phase, and then you decide what you want to do with that. I feel like, again, living it up versus getting ish done, that is just an ongoing inquiry for you as well. My humble opinion, we got to do both. Like, we can't just do the tedious stuff, failing to honor joie de vivre. Like, I don't think that, why live? But I feel like you're just like really trying to find that sweet spot for yourself between all this work to do, all this deep depth probing, who am I, all these relationship things, and these continued distractions, this party shit, this blah blah blah. Like, you just are in the inquiry of finding a balance around all of these separate expressions and ways of being. Let's move to the March 3rd eclipse and see what's going on with that in this 6-month time period for you, Sag. So with this I think is more bottom line. This is like Sagittarius, this eclipse cycle is very, very down to business for you. Some signs have a little bit of all different kinds of things, but I think out of all the signs, you are really down to business in this 6-month time period. And for you, I think that there are adjustments with your home life and with your family that do to definitely impact where you live, how you live, and your career. And I think, again, money is like, you're really thinking about money. Like, you need to augment your money. You can get, this is amazing astrology for getting random boons, like a lottery winning or an inheritance or something like that, where you just get random money, a legal judgment in your favor for several $1,000s, whatever. Like, you could definitely like expect some kind of windfall in that capacity. And at the same time, this is also getting clear on how to generate your own windfalls and your own like retirement fund, or how whatever money that you want and need, like that is 100% on your mind. And you're looking to expand on that and live the way that you want to live. I think that's like beneath all this party stuff and whatever else we talked about and whatever else you're going through, that's kind of like a little more fun and whatnot. I think that there's a certain way that you want to live. Like, you want to live in this city, you want to live in this house, you want to live in an apartment, you want to live in the country, you want to live in the city, or you want to live like how you want to live. Like, I think you want to architect how you want to live. Like, you want to start living on your own terms. I'm not sure that has been a Sagittarian thing for a minute, like living on your own terms. I think that you've gone through a lot of humbling astrologically in the past few years, that made you more malleable in terms of relationships and all kinds of other things. So let's see if Jupiter is not present in these midpoints from what I can see. So let's see what Jupiter is doing in the harmonics via the harmonic aspect grid. Let's see where Jupiter is strong in the 25th harmonic. So that's just like creative genius coming from social contacts, which I love for you. That's so very fun. And I think kind of getting out there and networking is going to lead you to the opportunities that you are wanting for your own creative freedom and joy, but also just kind of professionally. I think that a lot of stuff is just random. Like, you have a lot of personal stuff to address in this eclipse epoch, but there's also a lot of serendipity. And I think that that is a big theme of the divination for you, Sagittarius, is to believe in and know and have full faith in the divine timing of stuff and just how things just like randomly come together. A random conversation you had 7,000 years ago becomes, the penultimate link to your current success. That's the kind of stuff that is manifest in your harmonics and in your eclipse energies for this year. And I think that when you get in the zone, you are unstoppable. But I do think that you need to get in the zone. Like, you need to try to get in the zone. And that focus is going to be a little bit potentially more difficult or challenging in this epoch because of all the diversions. But like, I feel like this is such a confusing epoch in a way, because it's like, concentrate, deep stuff, blah, 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 and then diversions. Not too many diversions, but you need diversions, and blah, blah, blah. I think ultimately this is divine timing, serendipity, faith, and your own creative free flow leading you in the right direction while you're processing all this heavy stuff. I would give yourself a break if you need one. Like, you're fine. If you're like a hot mess this entire eclipse epoch, I feel like that's fine. Like, seriously, no judgment. I think that this is a type for you, Sagittarius. This is not like super deadline goal oriented, we're gonna hit this and that by blah 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 blah. This is more of an experience that you're just in. This is like an actual processing that can be nothing other than present and in the moment. So don't feel like life is passing you by or you're failing or whatever. Just be in it. Much love, Sagittarius. Have a beautiful eclipse cycle. Capricorn, hello. You've got major home stuff happening. For you, it's really important to look at harmonics and see what's going on, because Saturn stays where it's at, your ruling planet, for a really long time. Years at a time, 2.5 years. So it's going to be in your 4th house like pretty much forever. And so I just think that you're adjusting to your neighborhood, your home, whether it's new or old. Your family has a lot of demands and you're creating new rituals for yourself. Let's see what Saturn is doing in midpoints and harmonics to get some more information. We've got Neptune conjunct Venus Saturn midpoint. We've also got Saturn conjunct Uranus Pluto midpoint. So here's Saturn, here's Uranus, and here's Pluto. I think that you might be doing novel things for money, or needing to take a risk. If you're not doing novel things for money, I think that you could potentially be taking a risk in terms of an investment or something like that. I'm not sure you want to take the risk, but I think you should take the risk. I think that there is something valuable to doing something that you wouldn't normally do. I feel like you're needing to inject yourself with some joie de vivre. Not that you're lacking it already, but I think that you've become like so, and are involved in this space of so much ritual where there's a huge stringent part of what you're doing. Like, you do it like this. This is the protocol, period. Follow the protocol. And there's also a part of you that needs to rip up the protocol and fuck around and find out. And so there's that push pull with that midpoint. You've also got the Saturn Uranus Pluto midpoint was what I was talking about. You've also got Venus conjunct Mercury Saturn midpoint. Here's Venus, Mercury, Saturn. So I think you're also finding new ways to talk to intimates. And I think you might also just have like a deeper connection with plants, animals, nature. I think you absolutely need that. Beach day by yourself or whatever. Like walking, hiking, all that kind of stuff. Like the energy of plants and trees and hugging trees, like whatever, all of that is really nourishing for you and something that you need fundamentally as a human being. I think that you're also just finding new ways to communicate that's more natural to you. I think you've got a lot of stuff going on in your daily life, your career, with neighbors, going here and there, talking to whomever. You're busy. And there is, I don't know, like I feel like this is one of the most private, this is a very private time for you, Capricorn, in that I think you're learning yourself newly. I think you've become a different person. I think that everyone, including yourself, is adjusting to the person that you are now and the environments that you inhabit and the space that you take up. I think you're really like analyzing like the whole topographical map of your new self and your new environment and how you relate to everything. So that's a process. That's a really important process. You've got Sun Saturn 19th harmonic semi strong, which is speaks to a little bit of what we were just talking about. Kind of like newly organizing your life and your output and things like that. Let's see what else Saturn is doing. It's in your 31st harmonic, Mercury Saturn, which speaks to that whole like mystery thing, like just adjustment. I think that's a huge theme for you in this eclipse cycle is adjustment. And adjustment without necessarily any easy answers. I feel like life doesn't always have easy answers. Maybe it does sometimes, but like for you, you're kind of, I feel like you're just getting into the nitty-gritty. I feel like this is very childlike in a way where, or if it's not childlike, I feel like I'm flying through the sky or whatever, jumping out of the plane, and you land where you land and you just navigate, as you descend to your final destination. That's what it feels like. Again, I think that you're going to need more plant life and more tinctures readily available, more herbal remedies, more nature than usual to get by just like on a daily basis. So whether that's infusing your life with tea or other kind of herbal remedies, I think that you're kind of like there's like a fairy princess part of you naked in the forest that is really fed in this eclipse epoch. And I think that you're going to be moving around a lot and being inspired and satiated by all this cosmic divinity and randomness. Again, that fairy spirit vibe is very prominent for you. I feel like another thing, I feel like this is a peaceful eclipse epoch for you. Eclipses aren't always peaceful. Eclipses are often not peaceful. They just bring up so many extreme, severe life changes. I feel like this is more like a settling for you, an exploration, and an inspiration epoch for you. I feel like you're defining yourself and thus relationships but there's a sense of just like settling in and getting comfy and taking apprising or appraising what is in your new environment and how you're interacting with things newly. Enjoy, Capricorn. Love your eclipse cycle. Aquarius, I think you're so beyond busy and there's a lot on your shoulders and a lot pressing and a lot for you to accomplish and do that has to do with a larger, longer legacy period for you. I think that a lot of the underbelly part of this could be coming up for now. What I mean by that is you've got at the time of the eclipse on February 17th, you've got part of Fortune right conjunct Pluto in your first house. And part of Fortune typically unearths the innards, like the literal anatomy of long-term legacy projects, goals, and pursuits, how you go about achieving triumph, how you go about winning. And part of spirit is like, it can be associated with the more like shady part and or non-popular parts, insidious parts, or what have you. So anyway, these things are just being unearthed, like, and it could be as simple as like, let's say you're renovating a home and suddenly you discover that there's fungus in the walls or something, and it's like, oh my god, like, how did I not see this, right? So there, in life, we all experience these things where it's like, okay, didn't account for that, had no idea that was part of the package, but we got to clean it up type thing. That's what I feel like you're dealing with alongside the Mars-Pluto energies of Mars-Pluto is just hard work, like serious projects that take most of your time and energy. And I feel like metaphorically, because it's all in your first house, you can metaphorically say that this is the hard work you're doing on yourself and all this stuff is coming up. But this could also relate to like the things that you're up to in life. And if we look at your ruling planets, Saturn and Uranus, we've got this in your third and fourth house. And I think that home is really different for you for whatever reason, and family. All of our beloved elder humans and relatives are going to die. Like, so as a millennial, I'm now in an epoch where it's like my parents' death is just so imminent. Whereas 10 years ago, it wasn't really all that, right? I mean, obviously, all life is imminent death. That can be beautiful. That can be a lot to deal with. But that's just one example of like, okay, perhaps what's going to happen when my elderly parents pass on into the other, like that could be one shift, or you could literally be moving. You could literally be renovating a house. You could literally be renting your first or last apartment, whatever. Like there's something like majorly shifting around your barrio, like your immediate neighborhood and your home, your relatives, the way that you live. And I feel like it's stirring up, it's Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, so I feel like it's stirring up ghosts and ancient echoes, or it's stirring up something like really, really deep in your soul and or in the etheric space. So it's not necessarily easy to process. And I think that's happening on a soul and emotional level and things like that, and a literal level, like you having to adjust the way that you live for family or home issues. And also you have to do something about it. Like there's a lot of you, I would say sacrificing is a theme of this eclipse cycle, the 6-month period for you, Aquarius, where you're sacrificing for blank. Maybe you need to become a caretaker, or maybe you can't advance so much in your career pursuits because you actually need to focus on this personal stuff and sacrifice a little bit of your time to deal with this. So there's that. Let's look at what Uranus is doing and or Saturn is doing in this time period for you via midpoint. So Venus, Mars, Saturn is another midpoint. Yep, Venus, Mars, Saturn, but none of these midpoints are really, really strong. Moon, Venus, Mars, Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars. So money is another thing. I think that you're able to find the resources that you ultimately need, but you might be splashing out some money, and the way that this is coming up, it could feel like it's dissolving without the money going that as far as you might want it to go or what have you. This is such a personal time for you, Aquarius. It's so deeply personal. And I feel like it's harder. I'm not going to put words into your mouth, but I feel like it might be harder to ask for help during a time when your personal, when you're so vulnerable. And I feel like you're feeling vulnerable and or exposed to vulnerability. Like there's a heightened emotional rate here, and help is there when you need it. Absolutely ask for help. And also, like, if you need a moment to take a break where you're not engaged, like there's just a lot more things going on behind closed doors than is readily available or normally available for people to view for you in this time period. Looking at the harmonics patterns listing to see if Uranus and Saturn's doing something interesting. We got Venus Uranus in your 32nd harmonic. I just feel like Venus Uranus is sex, music, dance, and energy healing. That's always healing, and that's always really beneficial when you've got Venus Uranus tight aspects, strong aspects going on. So definitely engage in all of those. But I do feel like you might be experiencing more heightened anxiety or something looming than usual. And so any kind of energy regulating thing, it doesn't always have to be like sound healing or music. There are rocks like organites that regulate energy that you just put on your head, you know, or like whatever, like, or tapping, you know, that kind of stuff is really helpful for all these big, not just emotions, but energies. Like, yes, they're emotions, but I feel that there's an emotional response to some big energy going on that's like generating the sensations for you. You've got Mars Uranus in the 11th harmonic too, and that can feel, I think, potentially out of control. Mars Uranus 11th harmonic, typically, if we were talking about a natal chart, if you had that in your natal chart, you could pop off at any time, punch somebody in the face. Like it's less controllable than any place Mars Uranus can be. And Mars Uranus is like accidents and tempers and things flaring. You're definitely going to need to work out a lot if you have that capacity, like just to get it out. It's really like important for you. But also, I just feel like there's a sensation of things being a little off the rails for you, and no judgment on that. Like life goes off the rails for all of us. You know, everybody has that epoch. So don't feel alone in it if you need help in this vulnerable time period for you. And also this kind of go off the rails epoch or whatever, that's when things like really shift. You know, like I'm such a Cancer. There are parts of me where I don't want life to change at all. Like I don't. Ever. Like let's just have like complete comfort, but that's not life. And there's no fun in that. Like my life is exponentially better right now after the years of hardship that I went through. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world. My life was way whacker before all that insanity. So anyway, I think that's what you're kind of contending with right now and in this year. Is kind of like these higher forces in this eclipse epoch, these higher forces just like coming in and fucking shit up for your highest benefit. And that's a great way, I think, to straight up think about it. Yeah, it's for your highest benefit. Where I don't know if you'd be comfortable enough to move on this without this shakeup going on for you. Cool. Let's look at the March 3rd portion. And Saturn Uranus is going to be where it's at for a while. Uranus actually not that much longer. The next eclipse cycle, Uranus is going to be in Gemini, which is going to, I think, provide you some relief. So by the summer, we're going to have Uranus in Gemini in your natural 5th house, which is more freedom, more levity, more fun hobbies and joy coming your way. And you're met with that in a few months from now. So by August, seriously, I forgot when Uranus ingresses into Gemini. Let me just find that really quickly because I believe it is, yeah. So April 25th, that's really not that far. It actually happens within this eclipse cycle window, the 6-month time span, but the eclipses seal things in for 6 months as well. So anyway, I'm happy that you're going to have a Uranus and Gemini ingress in this window, but I still feel like you're going to deal with this home and fundamental personal shift and this vulnerability. But I do see a relief for you as well, where you have more freedom of movement and can go do your thing in a different way. Not that much Uranus, actually. We've got Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, Saturn, Pluto via midpoint. And then a Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Venus, Saturn, Mercury. 2nd and 3rd house, I think that you're just dealing with money management and values management and needing to raise your price or adjust it or lower, whatever. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're in business by yourself, trying to get that raise, like just trying to add value to your straight up financial books, like bring in the money. That's what you're going to be focused on. I think this is actually a little bit, dare I say, and really don't want to be offensive, I feel like this is potentially a more boring era for you, Aquarius, where you are fundamentally getting all this ish together and organizing. Like, this is not like flighty Aquarian that people like to write you down as and or characterize you as. This is like serious Aquarius, where you're getting your ducks in a row and getting everything together, and it's you're needing to focus, you're needing to look at the bottom line, you're needing to do the most important tasks at hand, and you need everything to come together, almost like what we would consider a Virgo doing. Let's look at Saturn and Uranus. Again, look, you got Sun, Saturn in 19th harmonic, orchestrating, managing, leadership, and conducting, basically getting shit together. All these moving different pieces. You've got Moon, Uranus in the 24th harmonic, which I think could be like a difficult energy because Moon Uranus just wants to be free. And so I don't think that, I think it's here. So the desire to be free is there. And obviously you're free now. Everybody's free. Like, you're free. And I respect you as an individual and your free will. And I think that you have that desire, but there are pressing issues for you to attend to. So you're not like able to just leave on a fly in the way that you may like to, depending on what you're doing. Mercury, Uranus, and Mercury, Saturn, 31st and 16th harmonic. I think that there's a lot of information that you're chewing on and processes and things that you need to go through again. You've got Uranus, Neptune, 19th harmonic. So a lot of 19, which is orchestrating, managing, and again, getting stuff together. We've already gone over that. That continues to be a major theme. So great. This is a wonderful epoch for organizing the most core fundamental elements of your life. Buen trabajo, good luck. I am kind of jealous. My Virgo moon loves this for you, Aquarius. Enjoy. Hello, Pisces. This is looking awesome so far for you. Both of these eclipse cycles are just looking very fortuitous and nourishing and fun and sweet, if you will, just like nectar living, nectar life. I think that you are expanding on the things that bring you joy. You could have a baby going on, like a literal physical baby that you just had, and or a project baby that is brought to life that you're just witnessing grow and caring for, and or just seeing like there's so many broadening of perspectives for you. I think at times it can be like, oh my God, shut up, I don't want your opinion. But I think that in a lot of ways, your consciousness is expanding into new horizons. That might sound woo-woo, but like literally I could just like see your vision and your brain just like growing like you've never seen these perspectives before. I think that you are very dynamic and empowered, and also expressing yourself differently. You have like a new language almost. It's like your lexicon has and or is in the process of shifting just so dynamically. I think that there's also a space for you where this is like a very chill energy. I feel like this is not a moment of high expenditure for you in terms of energy or effort. In that, like, for example, sometimes we have to do hard things in our lives, and it takes a lot of time. I don't know how I got through college. God bless. No, I did. Like, but that was like, I don't know how many thousands of hours I spent in the library working really hard on that paper to get it in by the due date. That's just college. Like there's other like being an entrepreneur in this business, insanity. Like so much work to do. I don't feel like you're interested in that at all at this time period. And I feel that you don't need to be. The universe seems to be ordaining more rest and chillaxation and just taking it all in versus being like super alpha, going after the goal, like super hard pressing, blah. Like that is not the way for you, I don't think, in this next 6-month period. I think that it's really important to take it in. It's almost like, I don't know what children are like anymore. I'm so sorry. I'm like a grown ass woman, and I don't know about childhood development. And I am just, what is it like to be like 3 days old and just taking in your environment for like the first time ever? Like, I feel that there is a maturation to what you're experiencing. I don't feel like you're like so brand new. I think that you've developed a lot of wisdom and experience in the past few years, but you're at kind of like a crescendo, like you're at a valley after walking up and down the peak. Like we're in the hammock just looking at the surroundings. Like there's nothing more for you to pursue other than watching your mind grow by what you're observing and, you know, it's like taking it in. An easier way to put it, just take it in, I think is so another way to put this is like, this is not the time for the biggest ambitious pursuits. Give yourself 6 months. Obviously, we got to do what we got to do. And there is your personal chart. So if your personal chart is different from this collective chart, then yeah, of course, you're going to have to put your nose to the grindstone or whatever. But just like general Pisces, I think the universe is just wanting you to step back and take a breath for a little bit and process and take things in. So with Neptune and Jupiter, we don't have any Jupiter midpoints that I can see. We've got Neptune involved with Sun, Mercury, Moon, and Uranus, Pluto. Let's find that. Sun, Mercury, Moon, and Uranus, Pluto. So Sun, Mercury, Moon. Oh, wait. Hold up. I'm confusing myself. So where's the Sun, Mercury, Moon? Here we go. It's Mercury conjunct Sun, Neptune midpoint. Here we go. So I think that your values are shifting a lot. And I think that you might be involved in hospitals or more like societal issues. Like, for example, I mean, we have so many societal issues, but I feel like foster children, the horrible condition of migrants in the USA, unfortunately, jails, schools, those kinds of, and also maybe even roles too. Like, for example, like a parental role. What does it mean to be a sister or a parent or a friend or a husband or a wife or whatever? Like, I think that your whole orientation towards all of these systems and places and roles is shifting significantly. And I think that you're just more, I can see you as more chill and more kind of like buckling down in on the most important issues that matter to you versus all this other bullshit. Like, it's kind of a double-edged sword because we're all in society. We all live with society. Even the biggest hermit is part of society. And I feel that there are just new ways for you to engage in your role in society that you're just figuring out. And that becomes clear in just simple reflection and spiritual devotion. So I see tarot cards, astrology readings, spiritual ceremonies, church prayer, plant medicine, shamanic healing, mediumships, anything that you can do to get closer to the spiritual world and the other is really important for you. I feel like you should do as many healings as possible and or as many oracles and readings as possible in this phase, because it just helps that ongoing clarification and mind expansion in relationship to these new roles that you're occupying and adjusting to and like getting privy to. So let's look at what Jupiter is doing. Sun, Jupiter, again, like I just feel like you're kind of getting settled into something more chill. Like you're not ready to take on the world in the same way, in like a Mars kind of way where you just want to fucking go hard. Like the go hard energy, I do not see it present in these this chart and these harmonics. Over and over, it's this adjustment to your new lifestyle that's taking precedent over everything. It is this emotional womb space, if you will, or caterpillar space. I forgot what caterpillars cocoon in. It's like a cocoon. I feel like you're in cocoon mode, which I'm like so jealous of. As a Cancer, it just feels like, oh, like so warm and nourishing and profound and deep and kind of slow to intake. All that is happening for you, all that you're dealing with, all that you're experiencing. It's really quite comfortable. Let's move on to the March 3rd eclipse. Getting more into your birthday season now. And this eclipse actually, I think, has a little more energy than the 1-2 weeks prior. And I think that you're just more directed. So, what I mean by that is that you know what you want and you're just going to say it and be clear about it. And the world can do with that what it wishes. So, it's, I want this, that, blah, blah, blah. Can we please do blah, blah, blah? Like, it's just so very direct and clear, which I think is very, very curative for you as a human being. I think that you're also going to be faced with balancing relationships, doing things 50-50 and making sure that all people, whether it's your intimate partner or your friend or your business partner, shows up and balances things out. So it's like a 50-50 contribution. And I think that this is still very enjoyable. You've got Jupiter in Cancer, your ruling planets, hitting your sun, Mars, and lunar north node here with moon. And so I just think that you're feeling very expansive and able to make good on that which you have committed to and that which you are exploring and having fun with. This is a very, I think, blessed epoch for you, this eclipse cycle. Pisces, I see you just coming into yourself and your life and your roles and enjoying it and getting stuff done and finding the friends and the partners that you need to keep a tight ship and everything running well. And I see you being inspired and feeling loved by the humans in your life, but also just like a kiss from the universe. So really beautiful eclipse cycle for you. And this is like the end of 2.5 years of the lunar nodes, or about 2 years. I don't remember. It's between 18 and 24 months of the lunar nodes being in your sign. And that's really significant. Lunar North Node Pisces. So you've changed a lot. And so this is the end of that. This last 6 months before we firm, super hardcore move into the Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle when the lunar nodes ingress into those zodiac signs. So you're just at the end, I feel like, drinking it up, all the nectar and taking it in, which is such a beautiful place to be in life. I'm so happy for you, Pisces. That's incredible. Neptune conjunct Uranus, Pluto midpoint, Venus, Saturn, no Jupiter, Mercury, Neptune. I think you just have like a divine, there's a lot. At this point in the astrology, it indicates that there's a lot that you just know that is now kind of like rote knowledge and memory. Like you just know it's just there. It just comes up. You just get the messages from the divine and it comes out. It's just already in your heart and it comes up. There's a lot of divine messages. So I do think that your spiritual prowess and faith and your spiritual abilities and devotion comes up a lot more to be expressed and explored in the 6-month time period. And I think devotion, it just in general, is a huge theme for you. It's devotion, it's softness, it's unfolding, it's unfurling. All of these are really important for you in this eclipse cycle. Gentleness, ease, naturalness, natural beauty in flowers, natural beauty in the wind, natural beauty in blah, 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 natural beauty in all states of being, actually, including all the gross stuff, whatever. Like, it's just like this kind of like, it just feels so soft, and it just feels so integrative for you. Let's look at Neptune and Jupiter and in the harmonic aspect grid and see if anything is popping off for you. We've got Moon Jupiter in 25th harmonic, so I think you're just going to be continually inspired by your network, other people in your family and community. We've got Mercury Jupiter 22nd harmonic, which I think is like exciting. I think that your social dynamics are exciting, but you're meeting it personally with a sense of aplomb and wholeness. Like you are like really solid, Pisces. You're kind of like a wise man or wise woman, wise person in the mix here. And thank you. Thank you for bringing your wisdom and sense of security to all of us right now. What you've accrued since the lunar nodes and Neptune and Saturn, they were all in Pisces. So like you really got to experience this kind of like, you got put through the ringer is what I'm trying to say. Like you were initiated into something, and now we're seeing the results of life post initiation and the integration of the novel reality that you've created for yourself through those tests of faith over the past several years, the past 10 years, even with the Neptune in Pisces transit, the past 2.5 years with the nodes and Saturn in Pisces. Bravo. I applaud you, Pisces. Thank you. Keep it moving. Have faith. Much love. Enjoy this eclipse epoch.